Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. Now, there's a piece here by Brian Monteith in The Scotsman, and I think he's actually nailed it on the head because he's describing Humza Yousaf's new hate crime bill. We're 6 days away, fingers crossed. That he's describing it as Humza Yousaf's poll tax. Now, we know when the poll tax was brought in, God, 30, 40, nearly 40 years ago now. That it was brought in Scotland first, and it really did hasten a major change in the relationship with with Parliament and that, because you shouldn't have brought it in Scotland first. Maggie did, rather than bringing it out everywhere once, and it created an awful lot of sort of anti-British resentment that wasn't there prior. When it was always there, but it wasn't as overt perhaps as it was. It was a very bad idea to do. And basically Maggie got it wrong. And I think this is another one where Humza has got it wrong. And it will create a lot of problems for him. And it's his baby. There'll be his problems. We don't care. We know it won't last long because we know it's such an appallingly bad piece of legislation, which is actually easily beatable because of various other laws that override it. The European Court on Human Rights, for example, allows a lot of things that you say because it's your philosophical belief, your right to your opinions and free speech and so forth. So it's actually not prosecutable. And the first time it goes to court, it will not happen. So that's not the point. The point is it's even there. But we'll take a look at this to see why it is doomed to fail and what the repercussions will be for Humza, soon to be out of a job, Yousaf. Here goes. So Humza Yousaf's hate crime law could be his very own poll tax epitaph. And this is according to Brian Monteith. And he says, love it or loathe it, there's no escaping the coming enforcement of Humza Yousaf's Hate Crime Act contains the ingredients to cast him and those like him who cannot accept its dangers into political isolation with no chance of redemption. Oh, this will absolutely be the thing that breaks him, the thing that utterly destroys Humza Yousaf. And it's cracking because it is such a very badly thought out bill. Because, of course, he's brought it in as a hate bill. So, oh, hate. And he brought that in. That's not what it is. It is blasphemy, anti-Islam blasphemy by the back door. The guys down the mosque said, we need a blasphemy law. He said, I can't possibly do it. But he brought this in order to encompass this all-encompassing thing to make sure there is blasphemy laws. Unfortunately, of course, him being Humza Yousaf, not very bright, not very clever, totally unable to see consequences, he has unleashed a beast. And this beast will eat him. It really will. It will destroy him. And that's what's great about it. We're sitting there, we're all moaning about it, and we are quite rightly, because it is a terrible bit of legislation. But if we use it right, and we can, because we are many, they are few, we can stand up and we can weaponize his own act against him. That's what we must do. Anyway, it's a rare occasion, this is Monteith continuing, it said it's a rare occasion where a domestic law is born out of the Hollywood machinations attracts worldwide news attention. Never mind offer up the potential to make Scotland a laughingstock. But Humza's law does just that. I often hear or read the hate crime bill was well intended, but it's a position I cannot accept because I believe it is utterly misconceived. It is a delusion and typical of those politicians who wish to control us, that a law should be devised to try to control not only what we might say, but what we might think. They are effectively trying to legislate against human emotion. And it's impossible. And it's a totalitarian law, which will always fail because totalitarianism always fails. But they don't want you to think in a certain way. They don't want you to have the opinion. And the opinion for Humza Yousaf is they don't want you to have the opinion or the ability to say that you don't like Islam, you disagree with Islam, you think Islam is wrong. Because believe you me, that is the only reason this law exists. Everything else was what they had to bolt onto it to make sure that that bit goes in. But try it. But it won't last. And you can get away with it because there's so many backdoors, loopholes, and the fact that European law, UK law, overrides it, and so it's never ever going to be prosecutable. The first court case will utterly destroy this law. However, that's not why we break it. We break it by the police. Report, report, report all the time. They must investigate. And you report every single thing every single politician says. No one else, just the politicians. Hoist, as they say, with their own petard. Anyway, it says, what we write, we draw, we sing, we speak, we chant and gesture are all representations of our thoughts. But so long as those who govern us have no way of evidencing what we might be thinking, it is only by limiting such physical representations of our thoughts that they can speak to punish us for having different beliefs from them. I was raised in Scotland where previously it was preferred to champion the cause of freedom of speech, including the freedom to express who or what we might love or abhor. The dominant and confident belief was that in the battle of ideas, reason would triumph, providing for the love to drive out hate without sacrificing critical faculties to analyse and reassess our laws, our institutions, or our personal and collective behaviour. You cannot change anything if you are not allowed to question it. And if questioning something is seen as hate speech, then you have perpetuity. You have an unchanging edifice that is Islam. Remember this. It was such that we were able to have religious reformations. Of course, but you're not going to get a religious reformation in Islam. That's not allowed. Islam must never change. That's what this law is for. Unquestioned. You must not question. Imagine a world where questions were never asked. Well, we can. It's called cavemen, because you didn't have all the technology or the understanding or the knowledge, and all those strange events were attributed to gods because they were backwards and they were stupid and they lacked technology, because nobody questioned. It's only once they developed the reasoning and they questioned that things changed for the better. And I'm not going to go through all this because we're basically hitting that's what it is. This hate crime law is nothing to do with hate crime and everything to do with maintaining Islam unquestioningly. Do not question it. Do not change it. You must not think of anything other than that Islam is the best. And if you say anything else, that's hate. That's all this law is. But we must break it, because Islam, of course, is not. It is a cult. It is a cult of death. It is a cult of stagnation. And one only sees if that which does not change goes extinct. You evolve or die. Islam will not ever evolve. We should not be supporting Islam. I think we should pull all aid from all Muslim states, because unless they are willing to change, which they're not, then why should we be willing to carry on with it? How many Christians are there ruling in positions of power in Pakistan or in Saudi Arabia? Why is it if we don't have a Muslim in charge in this country, it's racism or Islamophobia? But how come they don't have... There's not a single white politician in Pakistan. Racism. There's not a single Christian. Isn't that Christophobia? They don't see it. It's only one way. So let's take this hate act, spin it on its head and say, Humza, every time you open your mouth, it's a hate crime. Hate crime. Hate crime. Hate crime. Hate crime. Even he eventually will get so fed up with it that he'll have to abandon it when the police are knocking on his door 47 times a day. Thank you for your time. I will finish there. I will come up and we'll round off the video. We must monitor everything. Everything he says, everything he does, any actions. I didn't like that action. I didn't like that look. Report it. It's a hate crime. I was offended. I was offended by what he says. That makes it a hate crime. Nobody in the law defines what hate is. Therefore, offence is hate. Now, previously, of course, we had free speech and you had the right to be offended and the right to be offensive. I, for example, find vegans offensive. So if I see a vegan restaurant, I'm going to say that's a hate crime. The reason is, when I eat a steak, only one animal dies. When they eat a bean burger, millions of animals have died to fulfill that bean, those beans. Simple, isn't it? So I find the act of killing millions of animals to provide vegans with bean burgers to be more offensive than me killing one animal for a nice juicy medium rare steak with maybe some chips and mushy peas washed down with a nice fresh pint of Dukas, perhaps. Anyway, I shall stop there. Thank you very much for watching. Do please make sure that come Monday we stand. Hashtag we stand. We complain. We fight. We do not get on our knees. We give him hell. Till later. Goodbye.